refining layer, just adjusting things as I go. I am just adjusting this line here, which is not quite right. I'm working with very thin paint, so it's like a glaze, slightly heavier than a glaze, but it allows me to blend the colour out into the surrounding areas without altering it too much. I just wanted to take this line in slightly. I'm going to deepen the shadow there slightly. Use a softer brush just to blend that out into the surrounding areas. I'm going to deepen the shadow here. So you can see in this little bit here that I have deepened the shadow, but it's retained the texture from underneath. And by just blending that in with a dry brush, some glazing through here and deepen this line down here. Dark glaze, transparent glaze, and we're going to pop it on here. I feel that this is quite red in here anyway, but I am just going to do a light chestnut glaze mixed with a little bit of raw sienna. So I don't want it to be too red, but I do want to keep this nice and rich. This area here is quite white. I'm going to mix a little glaze of some white with some yellow ochre. And tone it down a little with some raw sienna. So I don't want it too yellow. Sure it's nice and thin. And I'm just going to apply it here. So I just want to brighten this little bit here. And down here. Just going to soften it in. Alright, so there's quite a few sort of white specks and things that are peering through here. So I'm just going to see if I can add them. I'm just going to use titanium white for the moment, and I'm just going to use the tip of my brush to create a little texture in here. So although I don't want titanium white colouring ultimately, once it's on the canvas it will mix with what's underneath and what I've already just applied. When I run a dry brush over it, it will take on the hue that's underneath. Tiny little wiggles of my brush. Dry brush again, very, very lightly, in the direction obviously of the fur. So that's just lifted the sheen. To lift this line here a little bit. Again, this is a very thin paint. It's a little thicker than a glaze. And I want to make sure that this is one of the brightest parts. Not as bright as the glaze, obviously. I'm just going to blend it into the surrounding areas. Now there's a little indentation in here which breaks up this line. So I'm just going to put this in here. You can see how my brush is always going sideways like this, and that stops me from painting strong lines. I'm just going to use this soft brush here, see if I can drag it around that area, blend it out here. I'm going to put the white bit back in here where I need it. So again, I'm just emphasizing that it's a lot of putting on, knocking back, blending into surrounding areas, put it back on again. Just feathering that, keeping it very soft so there's no strong lines. Just going to work on this little area here, and I think it just needs the burnt umber, a soft glaze. I'm actually applying this glaze with quite a stiff brush. I find often if I apply the darks with a fairly stiff brush, I can keep the texture. that's done is it's softened these lines and created a real richness through there. So you can see there's a multitude of colours through here. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this burnt umber glaze all the way down through here. It will be lighter here because the underpainting is lighter there. But it's going to start unifying this whole area. So I want to adjust the colouring through here, which shouldn't be as white as that. Okay, so I'm working again simply with the burnt umber glaze. I'm just going to drag it across, so it's going to remain quite light because of the white underneath. Tiny white specks. I'm just going to add in here. And I'm just going to soften them. Them really. And then I'm just going to put one or two back again. Not too much paint, just make sure I haven't got too much paint